December 1944. The Western Allies, confident after liberating France, believed the war was all but won. American GIs, exhausted from months of relentless fighting, were resting in the seemingly quiet Ardennes Forest, a sector considered too rugged for a major German offensive. Christmas was just weeks away, but Adolf Hitler, desperate and delusional, had one last audacious gamble. Operation Watch on the Rhine. He would launch a massive surprise counteroffensive through the Ardennes, aiming to split the Allied lines, capture the vital port of Antwerp, and force a separate peace. Hitler believed he could turn the tide of the war. On December 16, 1944, under a shroud of heavy fog and deep snow, the German hammer fell. Over 200,000 German soldiers and nearly 1,000 tanks, including the fearsome King Tiger, crashed into the thinly spread American lines. What followed was a desperate, brutal, 40-day struggle against overwhelming odds, unforgiving weather, and an enemy fighting with suicidal fervor. This is the story of the Battle of the Bulge, America's greatest land battle of WWII, a fight for survival in the frozen forests of Belgium. The surprise was absolute. The Germans achieved complete tactical surprise, exploiting thick fog that grounded Allied air superiority. The American First Army units, lightly equipped and spread thin, were overwhelmed. Communication lines were severed, units were cut off, and the German advance created a massive bulge in the Allied front line. The spearhead of the German attack included elite panzer divisions, spearheaded by the colossal King Tiger tanks, machines that could shrug off almost all Allied anti-tank fire. German paratroopers, disguised in American uniforms and speaking English, infiltrated behind lines, sowing confusion and sabotage. Small, isolated groups of American soldiers, often outgunned and surrounded, fought with incredible bravery. The 106th Infantry Division was nearly annihilated, but pockets of resistance, like the GIs holding St. Vith, bought crucial time. The chaos was immense. The Malmedy Massacre, where over 80 American POWs were gunned down by SS troops under Jochen Peiper, sent a chilling message of the brutality to come. Hitler's plan was clear: push hard, push fast, and deny the Americans any chance to regroup. The objective was Antwerp, and the speed of the advance was everything. The fate of the entire German offensive hinged on a small, strategic crossroads town in Belgium, Bastogne. This was the central hub for 7 key roads, essential for the German advance. By December 20th, the 101st Airborne Division, along with elements of the 10th Armored Division, found themselves completely surrounded in Bastogne. Cut off from supplies, heavily outnumbered, and facing constant German assaults, their situation was dire. The Germans demanded their surrender. The American commander, Brigadier General Anthony McAuliffe, famously replied with a single defiant word: nuts. For days, the paratroopers of the 101st held out. They dug in around the perimeter, fought off wave after wave of German tanks and infantry, and endured relentless shelling. Their courage bought precious time for the main Allied forces to regroup and counterattack. It was a desperate, bloody defense in the freezing snow, embodying the stubborn American fighting spirit. Meanwhile, the weather began to break. On December 23rd, the clouds parted, allowing Allied air power, including the potent P-47 Thunderbolts, to finally take to the skies, targeting German tanks and supply lines. The sudden German attack caught Allied high command off guard, but their response was swift and decisive. General George S. Patton, Jr., commander of the U.S. Third Army, executed one of the most brilliant logistical feats of the war. In an incredible display of operational speed, Patton disengaged his entire Third Army from its positions, wheeled it 90 degrees north, and began a forced march through the snow toward Bastogne. His objective was to relieve the surrounded 101st Airborne. By December 26th, elements of Patton's Third Army punched through the German lines, making contact with the beleaguered defenders of Bastogne. The siege was broken, but the battle was far from over. The Allied counterattack was relentless. American and British forces, now reinforced and with air support, began to slowly push back the Bulge. The German offensive, running low on fuel and ammunition, and with its strategic timetable shattered, began to falter. The frozen fields of the Ardennes became a graveyard for Hitler's last great gamble. By late January 1945, the Battle of the Bulge was officially over. It was the largest and bloodiest single battle fought by the United States in World War II, suffering over 100,000 casualties, including 19,000 killed. German casualties were even higher, but the Americans had held. The Bulge had been contained, straightened, and the German war machine, already on its last legs, had exhausted its final reserves of men, tanks, and fuel. The battle proved that even in the face of total surprise and overwhelming force, the American GIs would not break. The Battle of the Bulge cemented the American reputation for resilience and determination in the face of adversity. It showed the world that even in the freezing hell of the Ardennes, America's army would stand its ground, fight to the last, and ultimately prevail.